Hey guys, Chris at the Rockford Ordnance. Hope you can see me okay. I don't know if it's a little dark in here or not. I look a little dark. Maybe we need a little light. Hold on one sec. See if we can put a little light on the subject and make it a little better. I think we can. Let's see. Ta-da. How's that? Should help out a bit. Ah, that's better. Okay. So, who do we got in here tonight? Hey, Joe, what's happening? He says, great news, Rock. I got a second lower after 6 months of getting hosed by insurance. Well, awesome. MZ is in the house. So is Hattori Hanzo. Lots of AK stuff on Crossroads of the West this weekend. Bakelite mags for $100 each. I don't know that I've been on Crossroads of the West. I'll have to check it out. Good to see you too, Joe. Alan Bishop's here. Says, hey, all. I'm going to screw it up again. Archeal, afternoon, and Tommy Guns is here. So we got a few people here in the house. Like, if you guys read the description, I guess it upsets everybody that, we used to be able to show guns on here and you can't anymore. And we're going to follow their rules, but it sure was a whole lot of fun back when 2.8 EDU first got going and you could show things. And I guess we're allowed to put them in the background or whatever, just can't touch them. But until I hear firmer news on that, we're not going to do that. We're going to follow the rules and have the fun we usually have. And that being said, there is so much that goes along with our hobby, and something that I've recently kind of started in on. I guess I've had some all along, but never paid much attention to them. But part of the attraction when I originally got back into guns seriously was when you would buy a military surplus rifle, whether that be a Mosin Nagant or a Wasser. Not necessarily, Wasser really isn't a milsurp gun, but I guess way back it was when there were some military parts at least on it. But part of the cool thing with all of that, with getting one of those guns, was Century, for instance, would give you all kinds of stuff with it. You would get a mag pouch and a couple surplus mags, and you'd get a cleaning kit and a bayonet. I'm trying to think what else could be in there, but all kinds of neat stuff came along with it. It was like a whole little equipment pack, and it was really neat to not only open it up and check out your new firearm, but to check out everything that went with it that maybe that soldier carried with them. And it gave you a whole feel for the platform, for the day and age that it came from. Some of it looked really antiquated. Others, fairly modern and was still used today. If we think about it, guns haven't changed drastically, since the advent of the cartridge, brass cartridge, fully contained cartridges. Maybe rifling or barrels have gotten better, that type of thing. But in essence, it's the same thing. We've got a quickly burning propellant pushing a bullet out of the barrel, putting a spin on it and sending it downrange, right? And the same thing with the things that come with them, whether that be a mag pouch, a way to carry your ammo, or a bayonet, a way to defend yourself when all else is lost. I always said probably the worst words a grunt ever had to hear was "gentlemen, fix bayonets," right? That's got to be just a heart-wrenching, a gut-wrenching feeling when that command goes down the line, right? That this is it. This is the bottom line. There's nothing left. Here we go. It's the Hail Mary, right? And so you'd buy these guns and all this stuff would come with it, but you were mostly excited about the firearm, and the rest of the stuff got put away in a cabinet. Some guys, just kind of open the box, toss it, didn't care. You'd see it fail everywhere, piles of it for dirt cheap. Well, like everything else as of late, the prices have been going up on all those accessories. and in some cases astronomically. And you got to ask yourself why. Well, sure, there's just, inflation, collectability, all those types of things, but a lot of it, where the firearms were kept around, a lot of the other stuff may have been sold off, lost, rusty, this, that, the other, and it's getting rarer and rarer. So I've been kind of finishing off some platforms by adding bayonets to them. And we're going to talk a little bit about bayonets. Some I've had since I was a kid that I don't even know where I got them. An uncle said, "Here, kid, go play with this in the dirt," or whatever. And then some I've bought recently. One I was given, and nobody quite knew what it was other than it was cool, and it's worth an absolute fortune. Um, just really neat. So I've got a bunch from all different countries. Lately, I've been trying to get my U.S. weapons, trying to get bayonets for them, and I found that what used to be a dime a dozen, some are getting harder and harder to find. So I know we touched on some bayonets a couple weeks ago because I had just gotten one, but I'm going to show you a lot more than that tonight. And we'll go through them, and hopefully it gives you a new appreciation for them, because it's amazing. I can get a new bayonet and I start researching the marks and all this stuff and what it was used on and the sheath. And 2 hours into it, I'm still finding new marks on the knife, right? And it's like, oh, wow, what is that? And where did that come from and why? And some of the backstories on this stuff are really, really neat. And it's just as intriguing as the guns themselves. And it's always nice to be able to display a period firearm with all its accoutrements, right? Um, be able to lay it out, maybe display it. Maybe you got a gun room and you put let's say you put an M1 Grand on display with all the stuff. Maybe next month you change it out. You put a Mosin Nagant up there, or whatever. Just something maybe not for everybody to look at, but for you. You can appreciate it. Maybe you put a few stripper clips out there, or a couple end blocks or whatever. And, like a GI, you just set it down with the even stuff, guys, like canteens, where they used to be a dime a dozen. They're harder to find good stuff. The good stuff's been put away, and you can still find them, but the prices are up there. Sometimes there's a lot of repops out there. And even if you're partially educated, some of them, they're really hard to tell the difference, and you can get screwed on them. So it's good to learn a little bit about them. There's plenty of videos out there with people that know these things much more than me, but that's why YouTube is such a wonderful place. There's experts on everything, and you can learn a little bit about it and move yourself forward in the a whole hobby. Maybe move yourself to that level of advanced collector. Anyhow, that's what we're going to talk about in a little bit. But first and foremost, I wanted to bring up our Buy 39 project. I'm working with Fred on this. We've told you about his shop in Michigan, and he's got some really nice stuff, and he builds some really nice rifles and creates some great ammunition. And we've been working on this accurizing the 7.62 by 39. Now, on my end has been a miserable failure, and that's why you haven't seen any updates. I got a second video that I promised you last week, and while it was better, it wasn't great by any stretch. On the other hand, Fred has had some astronomical results. Now, give you a little background on Fred. He's ex-Special Forces, and he is a great shot. And he was way into precision rifles, always has been. I guess I don't think he ever fell away from it. But talking with me on this project has really got him going. He's got the itch on this cartridge, and it shows. My holdup on my end has been a powder, the proper powder. I've got the brass, I've got the primers. Bullets have been a little bit of a trauma, but Fred's given me some stuff that we try out. And while they're great choices to see what works, I just haven't been able to put it together right. My lack of knowledge, mostly, but the biggest hangup has been powder because, while you can find some stuff when you run into it, if you're looking for a specific powder, it's very hard to find, especially if it's not maybe the most common. And I've been looking for a 7.62 by 39 cartridge. You need a fast burning powder, at least medium to fast, but you closer to the fast side. And I haven't been able to produce the feet per second that I need. In this last go around with BLC2, and I will get that video out to you. While I did get a couple groups that were crazy accurate, it was super slow. Now, Fred, on the other hand, he's been going at this thing full force and truly has some remarkable results. And I'm just going to read to you what he told me here. And we're going to get video of it, or at least pictures and stuff, and I'll put it on the video. We don't have a way of doing video together right now because we're ways apart, but there's no reason I can't get some bits and pieces and odds and ends from him and put it together. But for right now, I'm going to read you what he's put together. Now, some of this is just Fred talking to me. And Fred, if you're in here, I apologize. He texts me these books of information, and it's just been so crazy how busy I've been and everything that's going on. I'm almost overwhelmed at this point. I really, if I had had my druthers, I probably wouldn't have done the stream tonight. Just I need to catch up on sleep. But anyhow, I'm going to read you part of what he has accomplished so far. And let me forgive me while I catch up here. So Fred says he's working, a lot of hours like me and all. He's got a couple businesses, so trust me, it keeps him busy. He just got a copper plating machine in for bullets, along with a CAD etching machine, which he has people dropping off gun parts to be laser etched. Reloading stuff is getting scarce, powders mostly, but brass just as bad. He did get his hands on an M91 off Gun Broker, brand new. So there's going to be some interesting stuff coming out of that. And so he's on top of the X39 project. He's working on a 54R load for the M91. He says the shit ammo I ordered in for the 91 doesn't do the gun justice. I'll get the 54R firing under 1 MOA like the 39 rounds. And I went to the wrong one here. There's more information here, and I wanted to read this particular part to you, and then we'll kind of move on. But let me find it here. Sorry, guys. I just want to catch up on it here. And darn it, I had it on here, and now, okay, it's in here. I'm pretty sure. Sorry, guys. I had it, and when I closed the phone, I thought it would come back up, and it went away. Darn it. And you have no idea how much he's written here for me to go through and find it. What the heck? I guess I'll just kind of summarize what he said. So he's been working with a couple of bullets, and he's got access to more powders than I do. And I've seen the targets. He has the 7.62 by 39 firing sub MOA consistently, easily, with out of a Wasser, guys, a Wasser. What has he done to it? He's put a different stock, more conducive to working with a scope. Few other things, furniture, but nothing as far as the barrel or stuff like that. And it's sub MOA all day, every day. And part of the reason he picked some of the parts he did and a wasser was so that nobody could really say, well, he's shooting a Krebs rifle, or he's got such and such a trigger in it, or, well, with that $1,000 Night Force scope. It's none of that, guys. It's a cheap scope that any of us could buy. It's a standard wasser, just upgraded with some furniture, and basically to make it more comfortable for shooting with the optic, stuff like that. And he says it here. He goes, Chris, I swear to you, sub MOA groups. First of all, Fred doesn't have to prove anything to me. I know he's telling me the truth, but I'm still looking for this stuff. I'm sorry, guys. I wanted to read it in his words. Here we go. What is this? Okay. You should have no issues loading or shooting MOA or less with these. This is about, okay, so let me finish up. My stuff's going to start moving forward now too, like Fred's, because Fred was able to get me some components that he's using, so I can build some here and corroborate what he's doing. So I wanted to bring those to you real quick. Before I do, guys, a couple things. And this is not an advertisement for this company. They don't pay me. They don't give me free stuff. They don't anything. We call this coffee and Kalashnikovs, right? And every night I do this. Well, every night I have my coffee and in large amounts. That's just what I do. And I try different things. This particular one happens to be called gingerbread. I'm trying it for the first time, but this coffee, my daughter found it. And when I like something enough, I like to share it with you guys. And like I said, I don't get it free. They don't even know who I am. I don't know if it's a company that would even support me mentioning them with guns, but who knows? But I like it. I think we have a lot of viewers in Michigan where they're at. They're in Grand Rapids, and it's called Schul's. Schul's coffee. You pronounce it kind of like school, but Schul. And this one happens to be gingerbread, man. They got all kinds of flavored coffee. I like this one called Nutcracker. Take that how you want, but it's delicious. And my daughter brings it for me from Michigan, and I drink it all the time. If they got a website, you can order it off the web. If you like coffee and you like trying different stuff, take a look at their website, order some. They got different, you can order, 3 different flavors, whatever. But when I like something, I like to share it. And I really, really, really like this coffee. I've tried all kinds of different flavors, from Michigan cherry to you name it. Anyhow, I wanted to bring that and mention them because they're a smaller family business, and they got good stuff. That's all. The other thing is super chats. Don't forget super chats. Everything you see here on our channel is supported by me, my family. Every dollar comes out of there, or dollars that you guys graciously donate to the channel. So super chats are always welcome. If you can't do it, understand. Sit back, enjoy. Not a big deal. Let me show you what Fred has sent me. So we are still working with these British 303 bullets, 150 grain. That's what I was doing most of the work with. And I think that may be partially responsible for the slower speeds. But he sent me their Spear, and they're 123 grain. They're called Defenders. They're pretty neat. I haven't done a ton of research on these things, but to me, they look like they are milled almost out of solid copper. And I got to talk to Fred and find out, but they sure look like it. And the hole in the front looks like somebody drilled it. And I got a feeling that these things might open up like those nasty broadhead looking ones. But these are 123 grain. Just what we need for our project here. They're 310 or 311, I forget, but we got a batch of these. And we've got what we really needed, the original AK bullets that Spear make, or Nosler. 123 grain poly tip, same as Hornady. It's their Spitzers, and they're essentially AK bullets, but with a black polymer tip. They got a cantilever. This is what we needed. This is basically what most Comblock ammo looks like as far as weight, size, shape, all that good stuff, other than most are open at the bottom. And some, like our Golden Tiger, are boat tail. But this would be looking like what you get out of Wolf or Tula or any of those. So now we don't have a problem with bullets, at least for me to get a baseline. Okay, then I can move into the cast bullets and these other ones and these British. I just need to get them flying at the right speed and semi-accurate, where then I can do the ladder loads. So this is going to do it. I have to be pretty careful with them because I don't have a ton of them, but hopefully I can get some more. And then the biggest part is, like Fred said in his text there, the components are getting super hard to get. I haven't seen the primers around I've seen. Now, a friend of mine went in Iowa and saw a ton of different stuff. So I'm going to make a little road trip with him and see if I can't score some powder we need, because I want a few different types. But Fred sent me this, and it's a fast burning powder. It should get us there. It may not be the perfect powder, but he's had super great results with it, and it's accurate 2230. So 223, get it? It's made for that. So, you know, that middle round, you know, in a perfect world, you want a powder that works well with 300 blackout, like the 300 BL powder that they make and a few others. But this is going to work pretty darn well. He's had good luck with it, and I think we can get the speeds we need with this. So going to load that up. We're going to do some testing, and we'll bring it to you. I'm going to get some pictures and some video of Fred's stuff, and you're going to be amazed. It's a Wasser, a regular Wasser, just dressed up, and we'll bring you some pictures of that. And if now, Fred is a much better precision shooter than I could ever want to be or dream to be, and probably better than most guys out there. So, but that being said, it's a combo platter of both, right? The rifle, the bullet, and the shooter. So if we can take the shooter out of it, we got a good shooter. And then we take an average rifle, and it really gets down to the bullet then, right? So I think this is just a great test, and I can't wait to bring it to all of you guys. And hopefully we get a load that not only shoots well out of his Wasser, but out of, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 different guns I have, you know, at least close, where maybe changing powder charge a little bit gets it right on for that gun or whatever. But something that is consistently better than what we can get through steel case Comblock stuff, where if, you know, it got worse down the line and maybe the Comblock stuff's not coming in anymore and the US stuff's expensive, that we can load our own and have a nice accurate round to go to the range with, right? So I'm looking forward to that. Let's get the bayonet stuff out of the way, and then we'll jump back into question and answer like we've kind of done. That's become kind of the way we do this show, and I kind of like it because we cover so many topics then. So if you ever look at, you know, what I put on the announcement of what the topics are going to be, and you say, that bores the hell out of me, don't worry. We're always going to fall back on the comments, and that's where it gets interesting. You never know what direction we're going to go. So I'm going to catch up a little bit on the comments, and then we'll jump into the bayonets, and then we'll get to you guys. So Roberta S is in here. Joe, rock the 2A EDU stream with Shooting Gallery New England was really a fun one. I haven't even been able to watch his the last 2-3 weeks, and I feel really bad because I've seen every one of his since he got going. I want a dish next. Tommy Gun scored a pre-banned Polytech Chinese spiker over the weekend and a 39 barrel today. Damn, boy. Wow. I want a barrel. don't care so much. The Chinese, I've got the epitome of, or I guess the peak of collectible Chinese weapons. So I kind of hit the top right off the bat, and I don't know. Yeah, it'd be cool to have more of a shooter, but I don't know. Chinese just never thrilled me for some reason. I don't know why. Not that I don't like them, just never thrilled me. But I can certainly appreciate a Polytech, a spiker for sure. Um, let's see what else. Imagine being a doughboy and you have to charge with a trench gun and a foot-long bayonet. Must have been intense. Yeah, intense is the word of the day. Alan Bishop just saw Polish Mosin sell for over $1,000. People are paying way too much for surplus, and that's kind of why I'm bringing this up. Guys, like we're talking about bayonets today. I brought up canteens. If there's stuff you want or just always thought was cool, like I always thought the mess kits, the oval ones, were just neat. I'd like to have one. They're getting expensive, man. You gotta grab this stuff if you want it. You can still find stuff cheap if you look around. Only gun I intend to pay big bucks for is an M1 Grand. Yeah, unfortunately, they're in a couple of years' time, they went from 500 to 1500. You can't touch one right now, I don't think, for much less under 1500. Does Fred have an actual shop? Yes, he does. It's brick and mortar, yes. If so, maybe I can buy some stuff the next trip. Yeah, email me. I can get you some info on it. No problem. I just got to be careful. We can't recommend places, that kind of thing here. So I can't give you the info, but if you want to email me or hit me up wherever, I will get it to you. I'll put it on my Facebook. How's that? Tested out a newly installed JComp Gen 2 on Armalite AR-10. It really cut recoil. Awesome. Let's see. Save the Bees is here. I'm just going to go through and see who's here, and then we'll come back. Pixel Face Killer. The Chinese variants never did it for me either. Have had a few opportunities to buy them over the years and always put the money towards something else. Well, that was kind of it. The Chinese had already jumped up in price when there was all this other stuff available cheaper. And in my book, they weren't necessarily a nicer or better variant. So I had one example, and that was enough for me. I would rather get all the other ones that were still cheaper. So let's jump into bayonets and or military fighting rifles, because I got one here, I think. But I'll give you a couple examples of how I never thought anything of. And they came with every gun you bought, and they got tossed. Thank God I saved them, but they got tossed in a cabinet, forgotten about, never even put them on the gun. And now I see they're getting like $25 for these things. And that's not a lot of money, but considering that back 10 years ago, they were $1 or $2, or you could buy 10 for $10. They're going up quickly. And that is a Mosin Nagant spike bayonet. So I don't even know how many of these I have, but a lot, right? And it's a wedge point. And these were re-arsenaled. They're in really good shape. I mean, they're perfect bluing. No rust, no nothing. Everyone that came with the gun, perfect. I never saw a rusty one actually come out of the box. And these went over the muzzle, and then the front sight, it clicked in over that, and you had the bayonet. Now, M44 carbine Mosins had basically a version of this, but foldable, so it would fold out. And the neat thing about it is all these guns were sighted and intended to be fired with the bayonet deployed. I've shot some Mosins where they were off, and I mean off, maybe off paper, especially on an M44. Throw that bayonet out front, fire right on target. Amazing. I've first heard it and I doubted it, and then I proved it to myself. So I know it works. If you ever got one that's way off, try putting the bayonet on first and shooting it and see where it's at. A lot of times, I'm not saying all the time, but a lot of times it will move it back to where you need it to be. Changes the barrel harmonics, whatever. but it was definitely, it's a fact that they were sighted in the 44s for sure with the bayonet deployed. The 9130s, I'm not so positive, but I believe they were too. But a unique bayonet that right now you can still pick up for dirt cheap, and 5 years from now, who knows what they're going to be. So, don't be on one of these things 10 years from now going, God, I wish I would have bought some of those because now I got a couple rifles and I don't have a bayonet, and look what they're getting for them. Buy them. They're cheap right now. Put them away, and they're just a conversation piece. It's interesting. This is a four-sided spike bayonet, essentially created. Now, these aren't sharp, but it would still create, at least two, but probably four wound channels. And that's basically unstitchable, unfixable. And after World War One, they pretty much banned multi-sided bayonets or trench knives, etc., from having more than two, I guess, cutting surfaces. Maybe it was even one, but just because they considered them inhumane. Now, there were a couple countries that kept going and didn't bother much with the Geneva Convention. But yeah, that's just one of them. Here's another one, and I will admit I don't know a ton about these. You guys have seen the video of my son's guns, and he's got a German Mauser, a K98, but his is a Russian capture. But it does have all the Nazi markings. I believe it was made in Czechoslovakia or one of the plants in Yugoslavia, maybe, but it's a German Kar 98. It's got all the markings, the eagles, all that stuff. It was just a captured plant, This, according to my son here, this my father-in-law bought somewhere, some knife shop, whatever, and just gave it to him. Said, "Here, kid, here's a sharp, pointy object to play with. Go have fun." When he was young, really young. And I don't know. I raised my boy to be a boy. We didn't worry much about it, The old thinking of, well, if he hurts himself a couple times, he'll stop doing it, But don't get me wrong. Never sent him out around with this thing or anything. But anyhow, he checked the markings, and supposedly it was the perfect match for his Mauser. So I know it's for a Mauser. It fits the gun, everything. I think he's probably correct, but I never researched it myself. But he said, "Trust me, Dad, it is." So I just don't know if he was talking from whatever plant or if this was meant for that Kar 98. But I believe it was, and it fits perfectly, and it's pretty darn nice shape. If you try to buy a Kar 98 bayonet today, my Lord, they got to be well over 200. And I think I've seen some approaching 400 plus. There's a ton of other Mauser bayonets out there that are a lot cheaper. And in fact, this may be one. I'm not positive. I haven't gotten to this. I've been doing the US stuff lately, trying to outfit all my guns. And that's what's brought this video about, because I want you guys to be able to jump in and outfit your milsurp stuff that you may not have one with before it's too late, before they're gone, or the prices have went to the moon, or they're just super hard to find, because I let that go for a long time. I never had a bayonet for an AR-15, an M16. And now that I look, it's hard to find a nice one under, they're approaching $100. And then try to find one for the M1 Grand. They're approaching 200 and plus. And those used to be a dime a dozen. They were everywhere. People would dig holes with them and cut them off and grind them up. And there's a video I was watching of a guy that does some videos on vintage military equipment. And he's doing exactly what you shouldn't do. He's taking steel wool and Dremels and all kinds of stuff and grinding the rust off. And I put a comment on there to go over to Anvil Gun Channel or Anvil Gunsmithing Channel and watch Mark Novak over there do his conversion process, where you simply take a rusty piece of junk and boil it in plain old water, and it converts the red oxide to black oxide. You then card it with a carding wheel or 4-aught steel wool, and the original finish is all there. The bluing, this, I'm not saying this one is. This one looks like somebody took the wire wheel to it. And what do you got left then? Nothing. Junk, right? It's not a great example of it, but the knife's pretty nice. They left the knives in the white on these, I'm pretty sure. But the rest was probably blued, maybe. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't researched these much. But anyways, this guy was grinding away the surface on this M1 Grand Bayonet, and I thought, there goes another. And then he comments about how he's done well over 100 of them. And I said, you should be brought up on war crimes. You destroyed more than 100 beautiful versions of an M1 Grand Bayonet or multiple different types of bayonets by grinding the finish off. All he had to do was boil them. Now, M1 Grand Bayonets were Parkerized, well, I do know that it will bring it back partially. It won't be that rough Parkerizing, but it'll at least convert it over, and you're not removing original stuff from the knife. So what else do we have? This particular knife was given to me when I was a kid, and I don't know if it belonged to my uncle, my grandfather, my dad, but I ended up with it. And this isn't a bayonet, it's a fighting knife. It's in great condition other than the leather handles. It is an I think these are M3, M3 fighting knife. The Parkerizing on the knife itself is in beautiful original condition. The blade, it has not been sharpened after the fact. It's factory sharpening, and it's really sharp. This must have been an unissued knife or one that nobody used. The Parkerizing on the pommel is nice. The guard is a little loose, but I think that's because the leather has shrunk and partially rotted. So here, these were cracked and so dried up they just fell out. I remember as a kid, I think I dunked it in motor oil and let it sit and hopefully expand it for like a week or two. And it did that, and it's since dried, and it's certainly softer than it was. I can dig a fingernail into it, but it's seen its better days. It's missing. I have the pieces for it somewhere, but they were just dry rotted. It must have sat somewhere where it got hot or not in a cool environment. And unfortunately, the handle is crap. I would love, because this knife is nice value. Maybe I'm better off leaving it like it is. Be damned to it. So if you guys don't know, handles like on the new K-bar knives, they're called what's called a stack. So when they're making the knife, the pommel's not here. You just have the tang of the knife. And these are essentially all leather discs with a hole in the middle, and they slide them over. And some may be smaller, some may be wider. They may all start the same size, and they stack them, stack them, stack them, stack them. Then they compress them, and then they put the pommel on, and they hammer down the tail end of this to hold it all together. And then what they'll do is sand them and shape them, and then oil them and polish leather. Once it's all sanded and shaped, they polish it till it's hard and smooth and gorgeous. Here's a new K-bar I can show you that will give you an idea. If I can grab it without everything falling here. Hold on. And it's a big one, so you'll be able to see well. So this is K-bar's new giant size they make. It's not the normal one. And this is a beautiful knife. But that is a leather stacked handle. And as you can see, all of those lines are just another stack of a leather ring. And then they I think they put a smaller one in between every so often. Let's see how many there are here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So each one of these looks like it's made out of 6 leather rings, and then a small one, 6, a small one. And see how they polish them nicely um, once they're done sanding them. And it's pinned on the same way. And that's how that knife once looked. And it sure would be nice to bring it back. I probably would distress it a little bit, but I'm sure I can get this apart, get some. I'm sure they sell leather for stacking, and I could rebuild it. It'd be nice if they made it in the shape of the M3 already pre-done, and I just have to put it together and maybe polish it. But I always love these, and when you pull these out of the box brand new, the smell of leather, it's just magnificent. I love I keep them in the box because when you open them, it's like, it's like walking in a leather shop, Something about it just is just amazing. And that's really a cool knife. It's a long knife. The standard fighting size is a lot smaller than this, at least 4 inches. Then they make an even smaller one, and I have all 3 here somewhere. Oh, I see one right there. They make them with the Kraton rubber handles too, but such a nice knife. I think if I had to pick one knife to keep with me, a fighting knife, it'd probably be a K-bar. I just like them. So this is our M3, like I said, and the sheath is even interesting. A lot of guys, I'll mention something here. A lot of guys will get a knife in a sheath, and they look at the sheath, and on the sheath it says, "Oh, what is this? An M8 US M8 sheath." So they say, "Well, I got an M8 knife." Well, no, the number on the sheath rarely matches the knife, and the M8, as a matter of fact, served a long time. As a matter of fact, if you look at our M16 bayonet here, this is an M8A1. So essentially the same sheath, changed slightly for the M16, but this sheath served, God, over, I don't know how many knives. Maybe, I think even from the M5 bayonet, uh, obviously the M3 fighting knife. The M16 is an M7. So it served over many, many years. And so you can't look at that and say, well, that's an M8 fighting knife. No, it's bayonet. This is an M7 bayonet with an M8 sheath, and that's correct. This knife, by the way, you saw this last week. New old stock, essentially. All the parkerizing there, everything perfect, and a perfect like new sheath with the correct laces, essentially the OD green laces, the brass buttons painted black, and the brass hook painted black. Actually, this hook I think is steel, not brass. But the rivets here are brass as well, but just a beautiful knife. I completely took it apart and put it through our sonic cleaner, and the rifle. Listen to me, I'm so used to reviewing guns and rifles. The knife is just perfect. Really, really nice shape. I think I told some of you about this last week, but I worked with a gentleman who was in the movie We Were Soldiers. He was in the scene when Mel Gibson and Sergeant Major are landing in country, and they show the guys playing poker. He's the black dude there sitting at the table when the cards all blow away. Short, fleeting moment, but he was in it, and he gave me prop from the movie, an exact duplicate of this. Not in great. Can. So, covered the M3 fighting knife here. Now, come here for AKs, right? Koffee and Kalashnikovs. So, let's get into some of those. Actually, I'm going to show you one more. Then we'll get into the AKs. I just got this, and I love it. It's really, really cool, and it's even cooler on the rifle. got an M1 Grand. It's awesome. My son's favorite rifle. And I finally I had this for it. I wanted something quick that would fit on it. This is an M5 bayonet in a newer, an M10 scabbard. I knew this wasn't correct. I just wanted it to keep it in to protect it for now, and that's all they had. But this is M5 bayonet. This is what would have been on a Grand in Korea. Shorter, probably like 8 inches, 6 to 8 inches. This also went into the gas plug, and it clips on differently and everything. But this is what they would have used in Korea. This is a repop. They took original new old stock blades and put repop handles on them. So when I say there's repops out there that are hard to tell, yeah, here's one of them. But the guy was up front with me, told me that it was a repop. And he did not have, now these M5s, I believe they actually had a different sheath. I don't think the M8 was used on these, although it may have been, because it's about the right length. So I'll bet it fits in here. Let's see. Let's see if it fits in here. Yeah, it does. So maybe the M8 was used on these. I don't know. I read about it the other day, but the info didn't stay between my ears. But I'll bet they used this. If not, maybe there was I seem to remember a different sheath for this. That is correct. And this M10 is, I guess, today's most modern sheath that they probably use with the new version of the M4 bayonet. Probably the most modern of all of our military sheaths right there. But I bought it just to protect this one at the time because he had the knife and no sheath for it. So anyhow, that's what would have been on the Grand in Korea. But prior to that, and originally, they would have put the Springfield 1905 bayonets on the Grand. Now, the 1905 bayonets, the handles were the same essentially, right? However, they were 16 inches long. And when they switched from the Springfields to the Grands, they used those for a short while. And then they started cutting them down. They cut them down to what the World War II version of this is, a 10-inch bayonet. And then once they used those all up or whatever the heck happened, then they started producing actual 10-inch bayonets for the Grand, and that's what this is. So a World War II M1 Grand bayonet is 10 inches long, essentially, is the proper bayonet for it. And when I say proper could be this original 10-inch one or a 16-inch cut down to 10 inches. And I believe at the beginning of the war, they were using 16-inch ones for a while. And I'll show you here in a second when we take this out of the sheath how to tell a cut down from the actual 10-inch. So it's kind of cool. You got steel pommel with the hook, the mechanism that hooks it to the gun, your typical hanger here, metal here, and this is what's neat. It's the only one I know of. Since then, none of them have done this, but there's a little clasp here. This is the button you push that hooks it onto the gun, right? Well, that also hooks it into the scabbard. You have to push that button in, and then it releases. Let me see if you can see here. There is a little hook here and a little hook here, and they slide into these slots right here and right here. And that's what locks it in. So watch. It locks in. Can't come out. Although there is spring steel in here that holds it in pretty good. There is some tension there. But boom, you're not going to lose it, right? Now, this scabbard is, I don't want to be wrong here. And it's hard for me to see. What the heck was it? Let's see. Darn it. So you got the M7. I want to say it was an, I know I'm going to get this wrong, M3 maybe? Somebody here might know. I've been looking at so many and trying to learn about so many. I may have confused it. But the average one did not have this metal tip on it. It was just this material. Now, you might think that's plastic, but it's not. And this is the best way to show you, because there's a lot of fakes running around that are made out of plastic, okay? And if you have a good one, like this one's darn near like new, you look at it, you think, well, that's just plastic. Well, maybe you can see in the light if I turn it the right way, you'll see like a web pattern in there, or a honeycomb pattern, sort of. If you get just a plastic one, you got a fake. This one shows it because of the, see the fiberglass in there? It's fiberglass. Maybe here you can see how it's the strands of it or the weaving of it. But it's fiberglass. It actually will bend. And then they were painted. This one has this metal tip, and there's not a lot I see with that metal tip. I don't know what the difference is. In the description, it did say E dash whatever, and that E may have something to do with it. However, right here, and I'll get a close-up of this when I do a video on it, but I always wanted something with this on it. The Flaming Bomb, which is the U.S. stamp that it's, owned by the U.S. And our stamp of approval, essentially. I don't know if I can get it to where it'll show that bomb and the Flaming Bomb. So when you say Flaming Bomb, it's like from what Roadrunner, they had the round cannonball bombs with the fuse coming out of the top. It looks like a cannonball bomb, but with flames coming out of the top. And let me see if I can get the light almost. Can you see it there? Can you see it there? Maybe. It's so hard to get it right. But it says U.S. in there, and it's the Flaming Bomb. It's a big one. There, that was good. I don't know. Anyhow, it has that on it. So it is a U.S. scabbard, but I don't know what this was. If that was a repair, if some of them came like that, I don't know. Bakelite handles, black Bakelite. Pretty simple design. I think there's 8 pieces in all. I had this completely apart to clean it. Essentially, inside the handle, there's a lever that rocks on the middle spring screw here, and essentially the hook in here. So that hook rocks in and out with as you push this, and there's a spring and a channel here that spring loads this, and it's that simple. 2 handles, a screw, the guard, and that's about it. It's well worn. It does have some of its color here. In this light, it looks almost in the white, but it does have some color, some patina left, but it was certainly well used. And this is in the white. Now, these would have been blackened for World War II, Parkerized in the white. Guys, they're going to see it from above, and they're going to see the flash of these. You need to blacken them. So our ordnance departments went to work on Parkerizing these. But it fits nicely on the gun. There is a little loose wobble rattle to it on there, which I'm not used to on American bayonets a lot, and even some of the Russian are very tight. This is by no means tight. It comes on and off very easy, but it does look super cool on there. Now, how do you tell a cut down from an original? That's real easy. The blood groove here, see how this one ends here, probably 2 inches from the end? Well, because the other ones were 16 inches, that blood groove extended further than 10 inches. So you'll see there's different, well, this is a spear point. They had to cut them in different ways, like maybe the top is cut down and it runs right into essentially the bloodline comes all the way to the end. So they couldn't cut this because it would weaken the tip specifically. So they cut them in different manners so that blood groove wouldn't weaken it. But the blood groove will come all the way to the end, and that's how you know a cut down. They all have different makers, and it's put right on here. This one is UC, which is, I think, United Cutlery. I know there's Oneida, which is OC. There's 6, 7, 8 makers. And then again, the Flaming Bomb and US on each side, which is kind of cool. There's a serial number here. I don't know what year this is. I know they put years on them, I think, until 43, and then they stopped putting years on them. But it's somewhere in there. It's definitely World War II. And yeah, cool. All total, between what was made by the different factories and then the cut downs and all, I believe there were like 3 or 4 million of these things made. Now I see these going on the low end for a decent one. On the low end, probably 150 on up. They are not cheap, but they are cool. And if you want one, these used to be everywhere, and now they're nowhere unless you go on auction sites or specific places that deal with this stuff, and hard to find. So if you want one, get one. Something else that's cool, and I haven't figured out what it is yet, is this yellow Armory Marking, and I don't know what it says. Originally, I thought that's a C. I thought, does it say CMP or something? But the other two don't look like they would be that. It's C dash something. Maybe someone out there can tell me what that once was. You can see some of the patina on the sheath here. And this one also has, this one actually, yeah, this has the big, maybe you can see it better on this one, but it has the Flaming Bomb as well. Yeah, you can see it real well there. See it? That's what it looks like with the US in there. And then it also has the Flaming Bomb on the knife. So really cool. And I start researching this and the letters and the numbers and the this and the that. And 2-3 hours later, I'm still discovering stuff about it. So it's a neat way to learn just more about our hobby, you know. This was part of the weapon system, part of the rifle. So if you're into the rifle and you like shooting it, you should know about the rest of it, right? And it gets forgotten because I get it. The rifle's the cool part, you know. But once you got the rifle a while, you've shot it, you've enjoyed it. Now it's time to find out about all the other stuff that goes along with it. And there you go. That's our M1 Garand. I'd like to know about this tip if anyone knows, and that writing if anybody knows. That'd be cool. All right. Enough of the U.S. rigmarole. Here is one that probably everybody has seen and used to come with every Wasser that they sold out there. A Romanian AK Bayonet. Very cool because of the Bakelite handle, right? And this was super dried out. Over the years, I've oiled it, rubbed it in. Just sit in front of the TV with some whatever kind of oil and just hand rub it in, and it's really come out nice pattern. Basically, early plastic fortified with whatever they had, wood chips, rope, this, that, the other. They stuff in there. Here's the button to put it on the gun. Goes through the barrel. There's a hook here, and there's a essentially a kind of a hand rope handguard or leather handguard that goes between there and here on a lot of different ones. And I have the one for this. I don't know what happened to it. This hole here is interesting. Most of you guys probably know, but some don't. There is a little stud here, and you would essentially put that hole over the stud, and I got to do it the right way to show you guys. And there you go. Now you have a cutter for cutting barbed wire, just like that. That's your wire cutter. So they could cut their way, put the barbed wire in the hook here, and boom, cut your barbed wire. These bayonets were not truly sharpened. You can't cut yourself on it. Maybe it could. I don't know. It's fairly sharp, I guess. Sharper than a Yugoslavian one, that's for sure. But essentially just sharpened on the one side. You see on this side, it's flat. There is sawtooth up here to be used as a saw, and typical com block bayonet, very typical. Although these have bigger, fatter pommels on them than most AK bayonets, a little bit. The sheath and the frog, the sheath is steel. Not all of them have wire cutters. This rubber insulator here is just that, I believe, to insulate against if there was an electric line or something you had to cut, it would give them some insulation from it, as would, I believe, the Bakelite. Nylon and leather frog. The frog is this. When it's opened up, it looks like a frog, the legs. And if this was not buttoned up, it would open up. It looks like a frog splatted in the road, right? And that's what they would use to attach it to their belt. So this came back in the day. I know they don't anymore, but when you bought a Wasser 10 or a Wasser 63, or even, you know, plain old Wassers back 15 years ago, a lot of them would come with these, and then they slowly started getting rid of these, and then the mag pouches went, and now you just get the rifle and a mag, right? But it was cool to open it up and get one of these. So that's a Romanian bayonet. That is correct on any of your Romanian AKs. This, speaking of Chinese, this is the Bakelite Norinko bayonet for my Bakelite side folder, my diamond in my collection. It has a Bakelite sheath, Bakelite handle. The rest is all blued. It's much less crude than the Romanian version. Really, really nice. And what's rare about this is it has its belt clip. You will rarely see these belt clips. These in themselves can go for $20 to $50 just for this little metal clip here. And they don't work so terribly well either. They're such thin, they're easy to bend. But I got it. And they have different things on them. They'll be stamped with, I think this one's a pelican or a butterfly. Whatever company made them would stamp a little outline of a butterfly or a little bird or whatever. There's different ones. I think this one's a pelican, if I remember right. But yeah, hang on your belt. And it is in the right way. It's just, they're weird. I don't know. They're just weird, these clips. Blade, and this one is not painted. You will see some bayonets that were painted maybe during re-arsenaling, but again, it's just single side sharpen, no wire cutter, and a very simple Bakelite sheath. But it all matches the stock and the handguard and the grip perfectly. And when that Chinese side folder is decked out with this and all the other Bakelite, it's stunning, absolutely stunning. I think only the one I like best besides this is the Bulgarian Bakelite ones. They're absolutely gorgeous too, with Bakelite handguards and grips and all. Man, what a good looking gun. But this is a great looking bayonet. I do have some Yugoslavian ones, similar black handles on those. I don't have a Bulgarian. I need some Bulgarian ones, both the older Bakelite and the newer ones I'd like to have. I don't have any yet, so I'm going to get my hands on those. They're getting very expensive. I believe I have a Tula laying around somewhere. I need a rifle to go with that one. Now, I'm going to show you the most expensive. I don't think there's many bayonets or fighting knives worth more money than one of these. I got this accidentally. My father-in-law had a neighbor whose husband passed away. And this was in a drawer in his den. And my father-in-law was friendly with this neighbor in a condo complex. And when she found it after he died, going through his things, she knew my father-in-law was into all kinds of weapons from the Wild West, World War II, all of it. He loved it all. And you could see some of his displays through the window. You could see his Western stuff, his Indian stuff. She thought he would like it. So he gave it to her. She gave it to him. He then gave it to my son, and now I have it. It is an original. This is not a repop. This is the sheath nor the knife. It is all original. It's in fabulous shape, and I don't even take the sheath off much because they're fragile. But here you go. World War One trench knife, knuckle duster. There is maybe one that had an extra one of these triangles on it that's rarer and worth more, but wood handle. The whatchamacallit, a full tang goes all the way through, and this one is, I believe, either screwed on, I believe. Obviously, you know, the knuckle duster triangles, which are super cool. Steel here, again, this is brass, as you can see, back in the day, but it looks like it was painted and it's just naturally worn off from wear. Leather body of the sheath here, like a tube that is painted OD green. It's starting to flake off, but when you look at most examples of this, this sheath is damn near 95%, I guess. And then the steel tip. The steel tip is riveted, and see, it's starting to get a little loose on there. I'm very, very careful with this knife. It rarely comes out. The wood is a little dry, but honest wear. The amazing thing, the other thing is, by pulling it out, every time I pull it out, it wears bluing off. These were blued. And the bluing on this one, wait till you see this, guys. Think about this. World War I. How old is that now? It's a three-sided triangle spike, essentially, if you can see that, with almost all, the only bluing worn off is the scratch on each side going into the sheath. It's brilliant blue. The light isn't doing it any justice here. Maybe there you can see just the scratch. The rest of it is all there, and you just don't find them like this. There is a teeny tiny bend perhaps in the tip, maybe not, I don't know. That looks pretty straight to me, but maybe this way. You see just that tiny bend here at the tip. I don't know, just the tip, but super rare, especially in this condition. It is not a repop. It is an original. It is marked, and I haven't looked at this in some time. And there's a little rust developing around there. I'm going to have to take care of. US, L, F, and G was the manufacturer. I forget who that stands for. 1917. That, folks, is well over 100 years old and like new. The wood is starting to dry out. I'm not wondering if I should put a little oil on that just to keep it nice. There are a couple dents in it here. But other than that, when I looked 10 years ago, this knife was $600 to $1,000 at auction. And I don't know what now. Maybe they're there, maybe they're more. I don't know. It's not about the money, although it's neat to have something this rare, this old. So this is what they outlawed with the Geneva Convention, because this is very sharp on each edge, and it created 3 cuts, right? Because it's a triangle, 1, 2, 3, and there was no stitching that back together. The reason they went with this spike was it was about the only thing that would go through that heavy German wool overcoat. With all the trench warfare winter, they had those heavy wool coats. A lot of knives wouldn't go through it. Literally, their wrist would fold before the knife would go through. So they developed these, and these went through. They did their job. That's a mean looking weapon. I want to show it with no background so you can see. What a weapon, huh? And it just shows you that back in those times in that trench warfare, when things were hand to hand, holy moly. I mean, think about popping some guy. And then, I mean, the history behind this. But, you know, if war could ever get less violent, I guess getting rid of these probably did it, because this is, well, very historic, and we can learn a lot about it, and it's unique. Very few people didn't know a lot about it, these, you know. So it's neat to see one. And probably getting rid of these was probably a good thing, right? If war could be humane, I guess, I don't know. That's always a tough question, but man, if you held this in your hand and you saw how sharp this was, it's a bit scary. I don't think anybody would want to meet their end with one of these. You know, the skull crusher, they called it. Some of them had bigger spikes. There were like 3 versions of these, I believe. But something you don't see every day. Certainly, probably the rarest piece in my collection of edged weapons, which isn't much. But I get lucky, like with this, the folding Bakelite Chinese AK. I get lucky. I end up with this super rare gun because my dad just happened to pick a rare one when he bought it. This, somebody just happened to give it to us, you know, because they knew we liked this stuff. And I end up with this super rare thing. Sometimes, guys, it's better to be lucky than smart, I guess. But um, just one of those cool things. And I'm really lucky and happy to have it. It's cool to display. Um, I hate taking it in and out of this thing, but why doesn't it feel like, there we go. See, I got to be careful. It pushes on this. And just all in all, what a cool, cool piece. Odie Green. Oh, God, too funny. But I thought you guys would enjoy this especially. And this was just a fighting knife, not a bayonet. So anyhow, so that's it for the bayonets. So about an hour there, and now we can get to all your guys' stuff, talk about what you guys want to talk about, enjoy a coffee or a beer or whatever you're drinking, and kick back and answer some questions you guys got. I'm going to go back to where we ended in the comments here and start reading and talking about your stuff while I take part in one of my last sins, and that's smoking. So let's see what you guys have to say. Joe says that's about $1,200 rare on that knife. Yeah, I figured it's probably somewhere around there, but it doesn't have a price. You know, it's not for sale. It was given to my son, and then left to me, obviously. But it's that cool. I'll never get rid of it. He loved it, so I'll never get rid of it. We both loved it. It was really neat for my father-in-law to give that to us. Just really cool. And I don't think any of us knew how rare it was at the time. We just thought, damn, that's cool, you know? So, cool to have. All right, let's get into the chats. All right. Roberta S. says, I've got probably a dozen bayonets, including my prize bayonet my buddy in 3rd Marines 1st Battalion brought back from Fallujah, OP Phantom Fury, Operation Phantom Fury. Cool. Yeah, it's always nice to have some history, a story behind it, somebody that brought it back, right? Pretty neat. Only gun I intend to pay big bucks for is an M1 Grand. You can still Uh, Civilian marksmanship program still has them. The one grade, I think, $600 to $800. If you can do it, that's the way to get them. Picked up a Ratworks AUG bolt. Looks like a good alternative to a factory left-handed version. Cool. I guess you're referring to a Steyr AUG, right? Ratworks. When I lived down in Illinois, I believe they were in Illinois, like out west of me somewhere, and I had never been there. One of these days, making a trip down there, I'm going to have to see what they're all about. I think they specialize in a lot of custom stuff for different military weapons. True American Loretta's in here. Good to see you in here again. I saw Heritage released a couple 22s today. One is a boot model, cool as hell, and another is a tactical cowboy. They got some cool stuff. I really like that stuff. They're fun to shoot, and certainly the 22 Magnum is a cool little round. Fun to shoot. Let's see. Save the Bees, we said, was in here. I can't get any of my bayonets on my Wasser lug. Any advice? I hate to start filing and remove too much material. So let me tell you how I did mine on my Wasser. A lot of those Wassers were re-welded. They came in without it early on, and Century would put them back on or whatever. And mine was all funkied up. You know, one side was smaller, this and that. And I still had to take more material off, and it's real thin and kind of bothers me, but it's my Wasser and whatever it fits. You can also, I believe, if I remember correctly, you can unscrew the one side, and I think that may widen it up. Now, if it doesn't fit the channel, well, then you're going to have, if it's either the width is too thick or it's too wide and it won't go in that channel, well, then, yeah, you're going to have to file or otherwise shape your bayonet lug. But what are you going to do? I would file it carefully, like I did on mine. File it carefully, little bit by little bit, and then just touch it up with some bluing. No big deal. Some cold blue. It's not a big deal, guys. Do it. It's cool. Get your bayonet on there. It's not, some great collectible. I mean, get your thing on there. One day it might be, but nobody's going to hack you for getting a bayonet to fit. What do you think they did? They filed away. Let's see. I sure hope it works, Rock. What? What works? Your new lower? Pixel Face. Chinese variants never did it for me either. We talked about this. Always found a way to put money towards other stuff. Yeah, they were out of my price range back then, so I didn't do anything other than the one I got from my father. Springfield Armory Hellion. Yeah, it is a pretty cool looking gun. MSRP $19.99. Oh man, that's awfully pricey. Awfully pricey. That may not be the gun I'm thinking about. Evening, everyone. I need a couple of bayonets. Pig hunting can get personal. Dixie Living. There was a place my son had showed me where you had your choice. You could hunt them with spears. You'd be on a platform and they'd have dogs, I guess, too. But you could hunt hogs with spears. And I think a lot of places may have it, but very dangerous. I mean, think about it. When you're hunting hogs with dogs, they put Kevlar vests on the dogs. It's not a joke. Joe said he liked the Chinese guns. Archeol, Russian Sega Sports are getting crazy in price. I'm still kicking myself for not grabbing a 545 Sega 5 years ago for what? Yeah. The one guns I wish I would have bought were, the Segas, the 31s and the 21s. I should have got one. They were, then they were under 1,000 still. And, but when you could buy other ones for $399, $499, $599, $799, that was an expensive gun. And I never did And now my only Russian AKs are my Vepers, which thank God I got those. But I guess one day I just have to break the bank and buy one. But they're not going to get any cheaper. So that's why I said start with your imports, guys. If you're getting one or you're getting your first, get an import. It could go away, and when they do, they go through the roof. Tommy guns. A pre-band spare came along, so I wanted one in the collection. I have Russians, SGLs, and Vepers. Yeah, I don't have the SGLs. I want SGLs. I want one of each, actually. But the 31, I guess, would be what I'd buy first. Others, but no Chinese, so I jumped. I got a good price, even though it was still crazy stupid. I saw a guy buy a Chinese one at my local FFL near Milwaukee. Pretty well used, a shooter, and it was not cheap. They offered it to me first, and for a shooter, I don't know. That's a lot of money. I passed. Joe, he loves bayonets. They're as much fun as the gun. They are when you start researching the history and the little things about them, and even how some of the changes happened. Did you guys know that the original bayonets on, was it the Krag, or I think the Springfield was a spike bayonet, essentially just a rod that fit in where the cleaning rod went, and you'd slide out, and that was your bayonet, just this rod. And then I think it was Roosevelt was in the Oval Office, and he pulled out, or he had someone else in there from another country, I believe, either the leader of that country or an ambassador or something. But he handed him a Springfield with the bayonet deployed. You would slide it up the cleaning rod channel, or what became the cleaning rod channel. I guess it actually did two jobs, one being the bayonet, two being the cleaning rod. But it would slide up and lock in, and he handed that to this fellow from the other country. And then he grabbed, I think it was a Grand with the Grand bayonet, and proceeded to break the bayonet on the Springfield. And that's where it was decided that those essentially rod style bayonets were going away. And they were called, it was the name of a general, I believe, what they called it. Started with a B, I can't remember. But he designed these bayonets, and because he was the head honcho, that's what went. He was head of Armory Department, something, I don't know. But he decided that was the way to go, and he had passed away at that point, and they brought out the new style, and that one went away. So anyways, kind of a neat story. And this guy, I saw the video, he deployed it, and I thought, wow, that's neat. I never saw that. So another little bit of knowledge to pass along to you guys there. Maybe that was common knowledge and you guys knew it, but I had never heard it. Probably because I've never shot 1905 Springfield, or was it 1905? I guess. Yeah, right. Never shot one. I've seen them. Never interested me till now. I guess that's the next one. If you wanted to have one of every major battle rifle that the U.S. Army's used, after the Grand, the M1 carbine, the M16, that's next, right? So maybe. Scar 17, yeah, it's worth the price. I want one. I looked for one for a long time, right when Belgian made ones were getting scarce, and almost put a couple deals together, but didn't. And now I'm kind of the opinion that I'd take a Belgian or a US made one. Prefer to have the Belgian, probably just because, but I got to get one. Something cool about the 3-4 different shades of tan, desert brown, whatever, anodizing on it. There's always 4 different shades, and some batches come out different and whatever, but it's so cool. What a cool rifle. the 16 version of it doesn't enthrall me. The 20, yeah, but if I'm gonna have one, it's gonna be the 17. Like most, it's hard to afford one, let alone two. But if you could afford two, it'd be the 17 and the 20, because that'd be pretty cool. But yeah, worth the money. Worth the money, at least right now. FB Radom Barills sold out in a day. Saw the email alert. I didn't even see the email alert. Were they rifles or pistols? Pistols, I think, right? I sure would like to have one of those too. What's that say? Lag for everyone else? Am I lagging? I don't think so. It might be on your end, but it says it's doing just fine here. Joe says, Rock, you can redo a stacked leather handle, but it wasn't totally gone. But if it wasn't totally gone, lotion helps. That's what I figured. I was a young kid when I put the oil on that thing, but it's so dark and black and dry now. It needs a new handle. Plus that the guard is getting loose because of it. So love the scary bayonets too. Yeah, right. They want to outlaw bayonet lugs, right? Like you're actually, let's see, you have a highly capable rifle, but you're going to chase someone down the street with a bayonet. I don't think so. No, nobody wants to use a bayonet, you know. It's just, again, they don't understand that we appreciate the history in them, and that completes the package. And you say, well, here's what was used, and here's our heritage, and here's our history, and that's what we like. It's not that anyone's gonna bayonet anybody or hurt anybody. For that matter, hey, you got a gun that'll shoot several hundred, if not 1,000 yards, but you're gonna mess around with a bayonet. I mean, come on, give me a break. I've never heard of anyone being bayoneted on the news. Have you? Never. Stabbings happen all the time, but they're going to use a small knife. They're not going to use a bayonet attached to a 5-foot rifle, because most bayonets, being that they're antiquated, think about all the 2-foot long bayonets on 5-foot long rifles. I mean, come on. You might as well go get yourself a spear. It's easier to maneuver. Alan Bishop. So that was Squeaky Cooler, by the way. He's in here. Good to have you. They were gone in 20 minutes. You got one. Tommy Guns. I got to see his collection one day. His collection sounds awesome. I look at others when you flip out the bayonets. It's priceless. Oh, the look on others when you flip them out. Yeah. Like on a SKS even, or like a M44, like think. They're like, oh, and then you show them the grenade launcher on top of that. And they're like, what? Is that legal? You're like, dude, it's from 1944. They think we have like cases of grenades we can shoot at our neighbors or something. It's crazy. Yeah, people just don't know. You have to educate them that it's just history, and no, we don't have grenades we can use and all that good stuff. But yeah, it is priceless. How many times have you just shown them the average modern sporting rifle, and somebody will say, is that legal? Oh yeah, it's a semi-automatic AR styled hunting rifle or whatever, and they think it's that must be illegal. No, it's not illegal. It's not even that impressive, right? Nothing like seeing a grenade on the end of your SKS or AK, right? I do have the dummy grenades for the Yugoslavian ones, and they're fun to fire in the background, in the backyard. It's like throwing lawn darts back in the day, right? They just land. They're made out of plastic, rubber, whatever, and they don't hurt anybody. Ellen Bishop, that's on my list. Hopefully, they won't be way overpriced when they come out. What, the Barills you're saying? Holy Christ. Maybe the street is a little lower. I think you're talking about the Barills, right? I don't know. Oh, let's see. The M7 I have paid $60 for unissued. Yeah, you can find them cheaper. I found them cheaper since I got mine. That one was $85, and he had used ones for 60. Ontario knife M7. Yep. And Ontario is a great company. They've made knives for the Army forever and ever, all the way since World War II, maybe even World War One. Martin Co. I love my scar. I got it 2 years ago. It was 2,900. Now there's 3,400. It's only money. I must have put 4,000 in ammo through it. Yeah, that's easy to do these days. I reload a lot of 308 though. What is a good first serious knife for a wannabe collector? Bayonet or knife? God, I always bought knives just by the looks of them. Now, are you talking military knives, I guess? Um, I always thought that the coolest military knife on the block, where'd it go? Where did it go, Joe? Was the M3. I just think these are really, really cool. It's the perfect military knife. And you don't have to pay a ton for one of these. You can find it on eBay probably, or some of the surplus sites or auctions. And I bet you could get one for under $200, I would think. And hey, it's surplus and it's old, so it's never going down in price, that's for sure. And I bet you could find one much nicer than this. Um, yeah, it's a shame about this handle. Look at how loose. I could pull this one back. I'm not going to, but what a nice knife. And it's light. It feels great in the hand. The shape of the handle just fits. The pummel, the guard, everything. Just a nice knife. Handy, as I don't know now. Back in the day, they used to use them as camp knives and stuff. Uh, I guess you could be careful with it. Why not use it? I don't know. They're never going to be worth crazy. Well, who knows? But why not? This one, if I restacked it, I certainly would use it on a camping trip or something. Um, what a great knife. Just cool. Even this side is sharp. Today, if you have both sides sharp like a dagger, some states daggers are illegal. This I don't think is considered a dagger because this is flat, only the tip is sharp. So you can still, without cutting through your finger. But it's a stout knife with a nice thick enough spine, but yet light, not super heavy, and a great size. If you were going to get one, I think I'd do this. I really like. God, my hand's getting all oily. It must still have a ton of oil in it, but I love these things. I think they are one of the coolest knives out there, and probably not rare enough to where you couldn't use it without worrying about it. I mean, I'm not telling you to go chop trees with it or hack at rocks or anything, but to carry around to cut an occasional rope or apple or whatever, why not? Who cares? Keep it up nice, keep it oiled, and have fun with it. It's cool. Let's see. Gunbroker has a lot of them. Yeah, prices are probably a little high. I ran across one site last night. I can't remember the name of it. I think they're actually based out of Wisconsin and Minnesota. A lot of surplus stuff from canteens to bayonets. No real guns. They don't sell guns, I don't believe, but all the other stuff, cases and belts. And if you looked up surplus, Army surplus Wisconsin / Minnesota, you could probably find it. They don't have a brick and mortar store the way it sounds. It's two guys. One lives in Minnesota, one lives in Wisconsin. And they sell out of their home. It's kind of a secondary company job, whatever. But they're legit. And they had a ton of bayonets and stuff on there. It's a cool site. I can't remember the name of it. I found it last night, but it's neat. They do not sell guns, just military surplus equipment, from belts to canteens to mess kits to knives to whatever. Just essentially the type of surplus that would be camping equipment, but now has become collectible kind of thing. So look it up, see what you can find. They had a lot of nice stuff on there. Interesting. Northridge is another one that has some good stuff. They got a lot of repop stuff, but they tell you it's repop if it is. Some of it can get expensive. They have everything from German to US to you name it. Cool stuff. Let's see. Gunbroker, good spot. Yeah, a good place to look always. They got everything, a lot of anything collectible they have on there. It's not just guns, Picked up a complete BCM lower yesterday. Don't get no better than that. BCM is good stuff. Bravo Company. You can buy a used one, maybe Scar. Yeah, there's a lot of Scars out there barely used. Guys go fire a few rounds, put it away, and that's that. That's the case with a lot of guns. Probably 90% of them, right? Guys will run a box through them and put it in the closet, whatever, unless they're super serious. But there's a ton, 50% of them at least out there that are like that. You probably have under 50 rounds, 100 rounds through them, and you can pick them up. At least a little break. We'll probably top it with a 14.5-inch SOCOM M4 upper. Perfect. Breaking up bad rock, huh? It's for once it's saying I'm doing fine. I hope it's still good. I am surprised you didn't spray them all OD green. I know you have a can in the garage. No, I don't actually. Well, I shouldn't say that. I think I do. The Krylon stuff that I used to paint my my NPAP with all the time. If done properly by a trained professional, Krylon can be your friend. I promise you. I've done some really good jobs. You would think we're Cerakote. I'll update you on the Cerakote scene. I did get my sandblasting cabinet, the big one on the legs, holds 40 pounds, and I put it together. I am an ex-mechanic by trade. I used to be a mechanic long time ago and very handy, and there were enough. It wasn't that it was hard. It was just that there were so many of these little nuts and bolts and washers that it would drive you crazy. And plus I was doing other stuff in between, but it took me an entire day to put the thing together. And I got to make a couple upgrades to it. If you guys are going to get a sandblaster for doing any automotive work, gunsmithing work, whatever, they work real well, but there's a ton of upgrade videos on YouTube, and most have to do with the siphon and the gun. I'm going to get a gravity feed instead of the siphon feed. It just sprays better, and for $50 in parts or whatever, it works 10 million times better. And then they say caulk and seal them and this and that. The foam and the tape all look good enough to me. I think some of these guys don't put them together right or tight enough or line things up right. We'll see. If it starts leaking like a sieve, I think I'll just caulk it from the outside, actually. Do a nice caulk job on it with clear. I don't want it on the inside to contaminate the abrasive with any silicone. That would destroy any finish. And if you're going to do Cerakote and use a sandblaster, you probably don't want to use that sandblaster for anything other than stuff you're Cerakoting. And you want to have the parts you're putting in there pretty much completely oil free before you put them in there, because the slightest bit of oil destroys a Cerakote finish. So you want to keep your media clean is what I'm telling you. Do you have any Bakelite refinishing tips? I have an easy German Bakelite handguard that needs a little love and not sure what to do for that. So there's a ton of guys out there that refinish Bakelite. And I've heard them all, tried them all, used them all. It depends on how far gone the piece is. If it's just dull, or maybe a hair dry and dull, or some surface scratching, um, I would first and foremost try simply rubbing some oil into it. Uh, what is that oil? Ballistol. Ballistol is like a mineral oil. You can drink the stuff, it won't hurt you. It's biodegradable. It works well on leather, on all kinds of things. And it happens to work well on plastics and Bakelite. So get some Ballistol or any oil. Some guys say you don't want any petroleum distillates in there, but I haven't found that to be an issue. Um, and I just spray some Ballistol on there, and literally with my thumbs, I'll soak it down, and I will just rub and rub and rub and rub all in, work it in, work it in, work it in for a long time. Maybe I'll sit watching TV doing it, and uh, sometimes I'll just spray it down, let it soak for a day or two, and then do the hand rub portion of it, and work it in, work it in. And then with a microfiber, once it's all done, I'll wipe it down and polish it with that a little bit. And it usually comes out gorgeous, unless it's too far gone. If you're starting to show fibers through and things like that, they can be worked back in like that, but it can be a little hard. And sometimes you'll look at an item and it's got this great pattern to it and everything. Then you see the chips and all that, and you throw the oil on it and it darkens it all up, and now it doesn't look as good as it did before. But that's how it was normally when it was in good shape. So depending what you want to do, just be careful, because you could see that change and you might not be happy with it, even though it's correct. That being said, if it's real dried out and you're, for instance, that top finish is just worn away and it's down to whatever the filler is, sometimes you're better off coating it in shellac. Shellac works really well. I have taken a handguard. I don't have it here, but I took a Bulgarian handguard, Bakelite handguard, for a milled rifle. And when I got it, I ordered it. It looked good in the picture. When I got it, it looked like an old piece of oak bark. It was that rough, that terrible. I mean, I even called him. I said, "What is this crap?" But, and he said, "Well, send it back. We'll send you another one." I thought, what am I going to do? They weren't as expensive back then. But I was kind of upset. So I thought, well, I'll look at it. And the grooves were so deep. I started to sand it. And I sanded to where it was too thin, because it's still on a rifle. It works. It's just when I put the top piece on, they don't match perfectly. The lower is a little thinner now, but sanded it to where it was smooth, and then put a nice coat of shellac on there, a couple coats, and polish the shellac. Watch my shellac videos for refinishing stocks. It's basically the same process. And it came out marvelous. It looks great. Shellac is a great product to do it. You can either do it with the clear or the amber. It doesn't matter. You're not putting that thick a coat on it. And it came out really nice. So those ones you see guys selling that are just gorgeous, most of those are redone, and redone with either polyurethane or shellac or one of those. They're not straight up hand rubbed. There was a entire thread on the AK files where a guy redid Bakelite. He gave the whole process of using this non-petroleum distillate oil, and over a week, soaking, rubbing. I have used a 4-aught steel wool to great success too for the final polish. You can use that. That'll bring a nice polish to it. You can experiment with a buffing wheel, but use a super light polish, nothing aggressive, and slow speeds and not a lot of pressure. Be very careful, and you can just buff it to a nice sheen a lot of times. Experiment a little bit. Take something that's cheaper, that you can get it for $2-3, maybe a Romanian grip or something, and mess with it. And that's what I did. I blew through 10, 20 of them before I finally figured out what works. And it's hard to tell you what will work better because I have to kind of have it in front of me to look at the condition and what's wrong with it and all to know which direction I'm going to go with it. So mess around with it, have fun with it, because you can't. I've never really hurt one or made one unusable. It's just the first time it's like, that's not what I wanted. So back to the drawing board, kind of either wash it, strip it, do whatever to get whatever I did off, or just start using the next method and go from there and eventually figure out what worked on that. And it's one of those processes where each thing and condition can be a little different, and I can't tell you one perfect thing for all of it. But I will tell you this, just start with the least aggressive and work out your way up from there. If the least aggressive doesn't work, which is probably just rubbing the oil in and polishing with 4-aught steel wool, try the next step and try the next step. And, I wouldn't use it with something super rare and expensive. But if it's just needs a little love, like you said, yeah, polish it with some oil and polishing. Your fingers are great polishers. Just rub that stuff in. It works really good, and go from there. But hey, bring us some pictures, show us some pictures, send them to Facebook or something, and I'd love to see it. I still get tips on how to do it. I see some guys that do it just phenomenal. But a lot of those are complete refinishes. They're not correct. When you see the stuff that really looks, most of that stuff isn't absolutely correct. It's got a finish over it. That bayonet you have for AK holding up, they sell for like $25 in pawn shops here without the sheath. Stuff's still out there, but the prices are going way up. You were probably talking about the Romanian one, right? Yeah, those aren't expensive right now. The Russian ones are, the Bulgarian ones are expensive, Chinese ones are expensive, and they have been expensive. Stream is fine for me unless I try to do something in another tab, but I know laptop is garbage. Okay, good. I'm glad it's working because, yeah, I usually know before you guys do if the stream's going bad. I have a Circle 10. I'd love to have a Circle 10. I need to get a Circle 10 Bakelite for my SAMs and stuff. That would be cool. Very cool. 10 Magpul mags and BCG for 119. I saw that deal. That was a good deal. Is USMC boot camp? They gave out the bayonets for like 2 hours only, and 2 guys cut themselves. Give a Marine anything pointy and they hurt themselves. Just a joke. Just kidding. Let's see. That's a 1917 pattern, 3-sided. Yeah, that's what it said on there, 1917. Very cool. I love that thing. That is some great history. You just jumped on me. Goddamn. I hate when it does that. Now I got to go back and find where I was. Where the heck did it go? Here it is. Okay. Yeah, the jagged wound track. Yeah, that's why they outlawed them. I heard the trench knife with the triangle was replaced because of the Geneva Convention. Yes, that's exactly what happened. They go for 800 in Pennsylvania. Cool. There can't be a ton of them out there, huh? I don't know that I've ever seen one in a shop somewhere. I've seen a couple in auctions online, and that's it. I mean, the U.S. never ratified the Geneva Convention, so we are not officially held to it, right? Um, Joe says that was a special treat. I've only seen them in books. Yeah, me too, till I had one and found out what it was. It's pretty cool to have something like that where you only see it in a book, and here all of a sudden you got one and you're holding it in your hand and you're like, wow, they do exist. Yeah, that's why I like to show it to you guys, that stuff. I don't have much that's super rare like that, but that's kind of one of them. I think maybe to some collectors it's nothing. Maybe they got 10 of them. I don't know. But I thought it was cool. Can we talk fixing, refinishing Bakelite? Got some questions. Yeah, ask away. If I can answer specific questions, I will. Hopefully, years from now, my son-in-law and daughter will say the same thing about my collection and appreciate it like you do of your father's. Yeah, I do. I mean, there's a few things that are really special to me from my dad. That Chinese side folder, my Belgian FN, um, a certain Colt single action that was completely engraved by Alvin White, who was a black engraver employed by Colt and a master engraver. Things he stumbled upon during the day, and are now just irreplaceable stuff, And think about it, guys. A lot of the stuff you have right now will be that way in a generation. It really will, if it hasn't been confiscated, right? I'll be damned if they're going to confiscate anything. How much are the Hugo bayonets going for? Still cheap. You can find Hugo bayonets under $30, probably. I think I've seen them 15 and 20 even. Basically brand new with the sheath. The lug is straight and looks fine. It just seems too fat all around. So you are going to have to file it then. That's what you're going to have to do. The easy way is to file the flat, obviously, because that thins the whole thing out if you have to thin it. And then if you have to narrow it, you'll have to do a little on each side, little. And then just hit it with a little cold blue. No big deal. Just make sure there's no oil on it before you hit it. Guys make the mistake of using cold blue when there's still oil on a gun, and it won't blue. It just won't. Bluing works by rusting the gun. So if there's oil, it won't rust. And by rust, we mean black rust, not orange rust. Although you may get a little, as it dries, you may get a little sheen of orange on there. Don't be so quick. Here, quick tip on cold blue. And I seem to remember telling you guys this maybe in the last week, I think, because I told you about that bayonet. Don't be so quick to rub it off or oil it. Hit it with the cold blue, let it sit. If you can, expose it to maybe a little steam in that area, or at least moist air of some sort, and let it sit overnight maybe. And then don't go and polish it all off. Soak it in some preferably used motor oil, and let it set that blue. And cold blue will hold up much, much better. Do several coats, that type of thing. And then when it's all done and set hard and nice, take a little 4/0 wool and just as light as you can, just buff and bring the shine out, and you'll be impressed with your results. You will. I impress myself with them every time I do it. It's like, damn, that looks good. It's not going to hold up as good as hot bluing, but if you treat it right, it's hard for some people to tell little touch-ups. That's for sure. Let's see. I just found out what the RS stands for in RS Regulate and how their logo translates into the same thing. Royalty screwed. Huh, really? That makes total sense now with their logo and everything. Rare fighting tool I want is an OSS weapon called a Pesquet fighting tool. I will have to look that up. I've never heard of one. Learn something new every day. I bet it's cool. Kind of like there's that Russian fighting tool that the whatchamacallit use. Their special forces, whatchamacallit. God damn it. Too many topics, too much to remember. My AR-10 is a poor man's scar. Me too. Me too. And I want to get it out shooting. I haven't really just pounded rounds out with that thing. Guero's here. Awesome, man. Good to have you here. I hope you didn't miss too much. We had some cool stuff. I would love a German Luftwaffe officer's dagger. They really are a beautiful piece, probably the most when it comes to edged weapons. They are beautiful. They really are. They went above and beyond on some of that stuff. Really, really nice. All the old German daggers are really something. Yeah, they are. Even the chains and everything for them, you know. And some of those breastplates and stuff they wore. FN is reintroducing the high power. Yeah, we talked about that last week. I've got a Belgian-made high power, really nice mint. But I would love to have one of those new ones coming out. I heard they ran into some problems early with them. And so they've held them back because I haven't seen them in any stores yet. But that's what I heard the problem was. So at least they're making it right, I guess, before they do the full intro on them. My dad has a Luftwaffe dagger that my grandpa brought back from the war. It has the tassels and everything. Wow. I bet that thing's just gorgeous. That'll be something neat. Hopefully you get it, huh? Hopefully it passes down. Sure would love to see CZ come out with a civilian Bren 2 in 7.62 NATO already. You know, the Bren is a lot like the Galil, the Gen 1 and Gen 2. You know, the Gen 1 has a little more character than the Gen 2. Both great rifles and or pistols. And kind of the same with the Bren. A lot of guys are liking the Gen 1 better than the Gen 2. Like to have it. It's not super high on my list, but certainly nice. And I don't know what version I'd go with yet. And I don't know what caliber I'd do it in. I don't know. I would have to think about that one long and hard. But CZ sure does make nice stuff, don't they? I really like CZ. I gotta turn some heat on in this place. It's freezing. This gun room was not meant to stay warm. That's for sure. It was meant to stay nice and cool. And cool it is. What else we got here? FYI, I did find and get the HKSP5K. Cool. That Euro model you were talking a couple weeks ago about is a legit purchase. Bad habit. So you got it from them? They may have had some Ks, but the ones I was talking about were just the SP5, not the Mini. So maybe did they have both, or did you get it somewhere else? But I researched it a little bit with my FFL, and he said it was legit. Although he said you might run into warranty problems here in the States, but what's to warranty, I guess? You know, is it going to break? I doubt it. The thing's like solid as solid comes. Yeah, I didn't get mine. Money ran short, so I don't know. I'm in a recouping stage right now, so there's not a lot going on weapon-wise. But we got a lot to bring you that we haven't brought you, so plenty to go. It's been hard to get motivated after just long work weeks and a lot going on and cold and holidays and all that. So there's been days when I got up with the full intention of heading out to the range and doing some videos for you guys. And I'll just be truthful with you guys. It's just been hard. With everything that went on, and I hate to continually bring this up because I feel like you guys are like, oh, shut up already. But with what went on with my son, it was like I feel just kind of like I took care of everybody else, and everybody else got everything through it and got everything done and continued to work and bring home the bacon and get everybody else settled and get my wife through it and all of that. And I didn't do anything for me. And it's just been hitting me really hard lately. So, um, most guys won't talk about it, but there's times I just break down, and it's hard. It's just one of those things. And, it's just been tough lately. Maybe just it's winter, whatever. Maybe I'm just tired because I'm working so much. So kind of breaks you down too. But it's just been tough. So I'm not afraid to say it or talk about it. It's just one of those things that I'm sure everyone can understand. But yeah, so it's kind of held us up here. That's why I've been doing these weekly. I haven't missed a one because I know you guys want to see videos, and I just haven't had the gumption to even do the editing and stuff. I got plenty sitting there. I just haven't felt like it. It's just one of those things. So yeah, it'll come back. I want to get to the range. I want to shoot. It's just harder, and maybe it's just because after the holidays, it's harder to get motivated. Harder when it's cold. Harder to get out there. The days are short. That's what sucks. You'll see me in every video say, "God, I just got out here," or it seems like I just got out there. The time flies when you're out there. It takes a long time to pack up, get out there, set everything up, start shooting and videoing and doing. And before you know it, the sun's going down and you can't shoot any more video. And being this far north, your days are short. And it's hard to make the whole day worth it unless I was to get up at 6 a.m. and be at the range at 8, and really get some stuff done. And there's so much I want to do too that I kind of psych myself out. It's like, okay, well, I'll bring this, I'll do a video on this, and this, and then you bring too much and you get nothing done. So it's like concentrate and try and get things done. So for now, I'm doing these, and I'll bring you as many videos as I can, and we'll go from there. I got something else going on too that's taking a lot of my time and thought process. And once that's settled in the next week here or so, that'll free me up a lot too. So I'm logging off, everybody, till next week. All right, Alan, see ya. Thanks for stopping. Bellastol works on leather. Yes, it does. Leather, rubber, plastic, you name it, it works great. Maybe I will use that to rub into my M70 pistol holster. Yeah, absolutely. Read the stuff. There's also, you can get the spray or you can get the liquid. And the liquid has an entire chart on the back of how to cut it for different purposes. It's water soluble. That's the weird thing. It's an oil, yet it's water soluble. So you cut it with water for different cleaning processes, different restorative processes, or different lubrication and protection processes. So read the label and try it out. It's not going to hurt anything. It's fabulous. It's really unique stuff when it comes to the land of all these million oils and protectants and cleaners, and it's cool stuff. I haven't tried everything with it, but if I ever got a question mark, like, what could I use on this to clean it or soften it or do or make it look better, get out the Ballistol. It always seems to work. I don't know. Amazing stuff. So I have a handguard that was filed for a milled receiver. I want to put material back on the tab so it's snug in a stamped receiver again. Any tips on that? Will JB Weld work? So we've all run into this problem, right? But usually I'm going the other way, because just about every Bakelite handguard out there was made for a milled receiver. There are very few, if any, that I can think of off the top of my head that were made for stamped guns. They just weren't. Really, the Bulgarian's the only one out there. I think there's Polish ones too that might be for stamped. There's East German, but they're a different type of Bakelite. In my eyes, the quintessential Bakelite handguard are the Bulgarians. So I was always trying to add more to them um, to make them not rock in a stamped receiver. But if you do have to add to them, yes, JB Weld is excellent. It can be sanded. There's different types of JB Weld. So I know Home Depot sells at least 4 or 5 versions of it. You could also use Plastawood. It hardens up like JB Weld, not as hard, but it's sandable like wood. It's stainable like wood. I don't know how it would hold up with recoil. It's kind of light. It's very light. So maybe JB Weld would be a better choice, I would think, although the Plastawood would be easier and quicker to work with in shape. But yeah, JB Weld would be just fine. No problem there. That would work real well. I've done, matter of fact, I've done JB Weld, I've done Plastawood. Although the one with the Plastawood, I have not shot a ton, so I can't tell you fully how it holds up, but it's been good. Just make sure you prep that surface, and I'll give you a little tip. Wherever you're putting that JB Weld, take a small drill bit, tiny, and drill some holes in that area that you're going to smear the JB Weld around. So, and push it in so it has something to grab and almost like a mechanical lock. Otherwise, Bakelite can be a smooth surface, and sometimes it just might not adhere just perfect. With that, you'll get much better adherence. You can cut X's in it, anything to give it a little more grab. So you make sure it stays on there. A little bit of a mechanical hold along with the adhesive hold. It'll hold up much better. Tiny is the key in making sure you kind of smash it in there. Sometimes it's better, I'll tell you, when you're trying to fill those little holes like that. This is an old gunsmith trick for stocks and stuff too. Whenever you're filling something or adding something like that, first of all, if you can, you want to make that mechanical hold. Second of all, if you're trying to make a mechanical hold and you're shoving any type of filler in, you're going to get an airlock. You're going to try to push it in. Well, there's air in there and it's pushing it right back out. So if you can, drill a cross hole so there's a place for the air to go. Or you can either drill it all the way through something, or you can drill another channel into that from the opposite. So let's say you drilled in here and you want the JB Weld to flow into here. You don't necessarily have to drill straight through. You can drill to the side to relieve the air pocket out of the side. If it works that way for you, it's just harder to line up sometimes. You might miss the channel, especially with a super small drill bit and something as small as those front tabs on the Bakelite. But and some people may say, "Oh, Chris, that's overkill. You don't need to do it." I don't know. I like overkill. It works. It may be a pain in the ass at the time, but at the end of the day, my repair will be there 50 years from now, and yours will have sloughed off 6 months from now after a couple mags. It's take your time, be careful, go slow. Sometimes you can't be afraid to ruin something. You're never going to learn if you're not making mistakes, and most mistakes can be fixed as long as you went slow, and you didn't take a grinding wheel to something and completely remove it. But most mistakes can be fixed. Don't be afraid. If something's that valuable, have a professional do it. What you're talking about is not that big a deal. Learn, and it'll be something you'll use always. That's how I wasn't taught by some master or something, and there's so much I don't know. but there's a lot I have picked up over the years. I talked about doing a series about what gray-haired guys know. uh, if you're ever at a gun club or a shooting match or even a gun shop, granted, there's a lot of old FUDs around, right? But even those FUDs can teach you something if you just sit back and listen. They come from a day when things weren't thrown out; they were recycled or remade or conserved or made better. And from an era when tools weren't disposable, when you sharpened a tool, you sharpened a drill bit, you didn't go get a new one. Um, I guarantee you, I bet there's, out of all of you on here right now, I bet there's one that knows how to sharpen a drill bit. We were taught that back in the day, and I'm not that old. The guys, I marvel at what my grandfather knew, how to use tools and different things, and just listen instead of making fun of. Listen. You might hear a lot of bullshit, but you'll get a nugget here and there of really good info. Ask these guys. Ask them. They'll tell you if they know how to do something. Let's see. I gotta go back again. I did fine. Okay, we covered that. Let's see. Leather dressing is the best, but no ballistol won't hurt leather either. Yeah, you can on leather, guys. And I think this is everyday knowledge, and maybe it is, maybe it isn't anymore. I find it amazing how what I think is everyday knowledge sometimes is just nobody knows about it. Younger guys, I'm saying. Clean leather, best thing to clean leather is saddle soap. Use saddle soap. It comes in what looks like a shoe shine can. You take a damp rag, you use it, you foam it up, you rub it on the leather, and you rub it in, and it pulls the dirt out, and then you wipe it with another cloth and do it again and wipe it till all the dirt's out. And then you'd use a good leather lotion or polish on it or something. And yeah, it's what they used to clean saddles back in the day, literally. And it's great stuff. Here's one. Your hands get dry and all working with solvents or painting or anything like that, winter, whatever. There's stuff out there called BAG, B-A-G, Bag Balm, B-A-L-M, Bag Balm. What it was made for originally, farmers would use it on the udders of cows in the winter. They get all dried out or cut up even from grass or brush or snow and ice. Some of the best hand lotion you'll ever use in your life. Hardware stores used to carry it. I don't know. Maybe Farm and Fleet. I know Farm and Fleet has it. Bag Balm. Try that. Fantastic stuff. Let's see. PA Auction Center is Guns and Bayonets this month. They will mail it to you. PA USA. I'll have to check that out. Let's see. Thanks for the tip. I can try Ballistol first since I have it and grab a tin of Picard. Yeah. Don't be afraid to try stuff, guys. It's a great thing about most surplus. It's, if it's expensive and you're paying a lot of money, it probably should be in good shape to begin with. But that stuff that you're getting that's a little used or torn up, don't be afraid. It's probably not expensive to begin with, and it's probably not the worst way to experiment and learn from. My thoughts is to use JB Weld putty used for fiberglass tubs. Yes, absolutely. That's the version I would probably use too. They may make one for wood, but being as that's mostly plastic anyways, that's what I would use. Might try mixing colorants in the putty to at least get a brown color. Yeah, you can do that. JB Weld, different stuff will take. I've dyed everything from shellac, you name it. I've dyed it. Going to rough it up with sandpaper, but I don't want to drill because the file part has thin walls. Yeah, I kind of thought so. That's why I said tiny drill bit, but it'll probably hold just fine. JB Weld has a tendency to stick to anything and everything. It's amazing stuff. It really is. Outside of the filing, it's a nice looking piece. So I want to try and make it work. East German, lower, yep. East German's cool stuff. You got Romanian. You know what they match a lot of the Bulgarian stuff with now is Romanian gas tube covers. Because Romanian guns had wood and then the Bakelite tops. This weird stuff. I don't know. I almost feel like that's a waste of the Romanian ones. You know, it's like they should be kept for what they are needed for, which is Romanian guns. I don't know. I don't like when guys do that. I understand the Polish fat grips with it because they match so well. Bulgaria had, did I show you guys my Sam 7 done with the original Bakelite, handguard and top cover, and then the original salmon stock and grip? It's got to be the ugliest stock anybody ever put on an AK. And most are beat to shit. I mean, beat to hell. They look terrible. I found a really, really nice one. And it's on there, and it's how it was supposed to be. But this one's unique and looks okay because it's in good shape. But man, it's still funky. But if you guys haven't seen it, I'll get you something on that to show you. Always wanted to get that right, and I found one. I've been having a lot of luck on Reddit. You gotta be careful there though, because I don't follow it that close, so I don't know who's all that legit and who isn't. But I have yet to get burned, so it's been okay. Interesting stuff. Anywho, anybody got anything else yet? We are just over 2 hours. I'm about done. I don't know if I missed anybody's stuff here. Bakelite's a unique challenge and product. I've done best with the oil process, and it can be a long process. It can be days of working it in there and letting it absorb and working it in there and letting it absorb, and then that final polish and everything. I've had Russian ones I've done that were absolute garbage, and I'd work on them for a week or two and set them aside for 6 months and go back to them and go, I really don't look that great. Work on them a little more. I don't know if this is ever going to work. Put aside. 3 months later, grab it, polish it up, and go, wow, it finally took it all. And look at that. The thing is just gorgeous. And I just continued to work on it, you know, but it's like anything. That stuff, whether it's wood or Bakelite or anything like that, that process is, to make it look good is a lot of work. You know, we can't go back and pop one out of a mold, you know, so if you're going to make it look right, it's going to take some work. The easy way is to dunk a grip right in the shellac and let it drain off, and you got a nice thick coat on there that dries. And I would probably use, at the end of the day, polyurethane though, because shellac takes so damn long, especially as it gets thicker, to dry out. And when it heats up, you'll get air bubbles on a handguard and stuff. You got to rub them out again with steel wool. It can take a year sometimes if it's super thick. So I might go with something that dries harder and faster. Shellac is great because it's forgiving. You can, you scratch it, you ding it, anything. It can be fixed with anything from just polishing with steel wool to a dab of denatured alcohol to melt it a hair and then smooth it back out and rub it in and perfect again. There's an art to that too. Shellac is really a cool product, but you got to be very, very patient with it. Unless you're spraying it super thin just as a final coat. But I do a lot of restoration stuff with it, and it's you got to be patient. But it gives that real look. It doesn't look fake ever. When I'm not trying to do a perfect finish, when I'm trying to recreate a good looking weapon with a little bit of honest wear, that's what I go to. If I want a perfect finish, you can go to more modern finishes. But yeah, don't be afraid to experiment. That's what I'm telling you. You can always find another handguard, another this, another that. I'm not telling you go out there and experiment on an expensive piece or do major stuff, but when it comes to metal, don't ever take a wire wheel to anything. Don't. Take my advice and go over to Anvil channel and watch he says it's conserving or conservation. Just search that on his channel. You could probably watch that video forever. It's so amazing. But there's a lot of processes out there. Just look for them and use the least, when it comes to anything, use the least destructive method, the least aggressive method, and try to change things as little as possible to either redo or conserve or bring back a finish. That's the best advice I can give you. And when it comes to any of it, prep work is just like painting a house. Prep work is everything. So yeah, we got the sandblast cabinet together. That's ready to go. The guns are ready. My compressor is re-outfitted. I got the dryers, the filters, everything. I got the booth all set. Everything pretty much ready to go other than the oven. I've trying to find an inexpensive oven. You don't need high heats, 150 to 300 degrees max. 250, I can probably do most stuff I need to do. There's benchtop lab ovens. To buy them new, even Chinese ones are expensive. I'd like to find one that's at least got either a tall one that's 26 tall. That would be perfect. If I had to go sideways, fine, but be better off if it was tall. 26 inch, I can do most barreled actions of, AKs, stuff like that. But I am having a hard time finding anything that works that's not crazy money. I've seen some, and I don't want to do the cheapo homemade oven. I want a regular oven. I can control the temperatures, move the air, all of that. If I have to for now, maybe I can rig up, they do them out of electric smokers. I had one once that was rigged really nice with a controller and everything. Worked great. But I'd rather get my hands on an actual oven. So I've been looking around for that. And that's the last piece, but it's been hard to find one, or I'd already be going. And you guys will see some amazing stuff when I get that going again. Did it for a bunch of years and then got out of it, and I enjoy it. So you'll see some cool stuff come out of that. Such a nice finish. I'm going to do a lot of my arsenals in just the plain black finish, just because I hate the paint. And I don't know. Will it ruin the collector value down the road? Maybe. I don't know. I think most guys would rather look at a nice Cerakote finish that's the same sheen, same everything, but looks great. So we'll see. I don't know. At least a couple of them that I really like. I think I'm going to do that way. And then we're going to do some camo. I want to do a lot of camo. And I might even do a throwback distressed American flag deal just because they're fun to do, and I haven't done one in forever. And mine came out pretty cool. So we'll see. I don't know. It's not really in style anymore, but it's always fun to do. I'd like to do maybe a tiger stripe. We'll do. Those always were cool. Multicam for sure. Woodland. I want to do a woodland camo. That's going to be awesome. And I don't know what else. We'll see. We'll see. I really, there's a couple scopes I have I want to get done so they match really nice. Scopes can be tough, but cool. There's a shotgun or two I want to do. There's a lot of neat stuff. We'll see. We'll see. Doing knives is fun too. Can really do some nice knives. So yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Might even do some Rockford Ordnance mugs or something like that. for the coffee thing. Don't forget about that Schul's coffee I told you guys about. Try it out. Check out their website. It's great coffee. It really is. Not really expensive. Good stuff. And I look forward to getting all the different flavors my daughter brings me. So it's cool. What else? What else? Is that about it? What else can I? That's about it, I think. Any other questions here? Let's see, and then we'll hit it. I think there. Oh man, hold on. It's just a shame the rest of the East German stuff was just plastic. Yeah, but those dimple stocks are cool. I like them. I should have bought a kit. It'd be nice to have an East German. You don't see too many guys running around with East Germans, and they're neat. Can't show guns, but you can show your Bakelite furniture. I can. And then I got to disassemble everything. That's a pain in the ass, too. I did not get the SP5K PDW from them. I was just letting you know that the model year was legit. Okay, cool. I got the same info from my guy, too. So if I come across a chunk of change in the near future, I really want to grab one. I really want one. I even brought it up to the wife, and she said, well, if you really want to. I don't know. I don't have it to spare right now, so we got to put a little back in the tank. Doesn't have to be the Bren 2 and 7.62 NATO. Would love the Gen 1 as well. Something close. Full auto model made for the military. Our Gen 1. Bren 805s, yes. That I like. That's the gun I like. Yeah, I missed out on the 805. I don't see used ones. No, you don't. Guys are holding on to them. So that should tell you something right there. I know a place nearby that has a dimple stock. If you are looking for one, Rock, I'd want the whole kit. I'd want not just the stock. I'm not one for mixed matching stuff. If I'm doing a custom fighting rifle, maybe, but then it's mostly aftermarket stuff that I'd probably use. But I'd like to have a kit built gun. An East German would be cool. I just like the look of them. I think they're neat and they're different. You don't see a ton of them out there. I always said I was going to put a set of furniture away because that stuff will get really rare too. You watch. It will happen. I promise you that. Well, that's about it, guys. Wish me luck tomorrow. I'm going to try and get out and do a few things and see if I can't get to the range. I've said it the last 2 weeks and just done nothing. So couch seems better. So we will see. We will see. And we'll get you some cool stuff. We'll go from there. So I hope you guys enjoyed tonight. I hope you learned a little bit about the bayonets and such. Like I said, I'm not an expert. Just what I learned, buying what I like. Buy what you like. Don't buy what somebody tells you to buy or what you heard from me or whatever. You see something you like that you're curious about that you think is cool and you can afford it, grab it and learn about it. That's how I got back in. I saw Mosin Nagant for $69. I bought it and I read everything there was to read about Mosin Nagants. Everything. Books, websites, journals, papers, history books, everything I could find. And then I bought because they were $69, $99. And your collection grows from there. It's got to be stuff you like or it's worthless to you, right? And it's what you like. And that moved me into AKs and that moved me into other stuff. And whatever it is, I kind of obsess on it. I learn everything there is to learn. And then I'm on to something else. So whether it's a variant or a platform or a country, whatever it may be, that's what makes it interesting. The history behind it and the differences between them. So, yeah, jump out there, find something different, find something that interests you, find something that fits your affordability scale so you can truly enjoy it. And one day, maybe you lose the complete interest, but you sell it, you make a ton of money, and now you can move into something else. Or maybe you keep it all, whatever. But make sure it's affordable on a scale, because spending money outside of what you can afford is never fun. It's never fun to have to give it up later. Make sure you can afford it and hang with it. That's what makes it fun. Whatever it is, if it's $300 or $3,000, it's all fun. Anyhow, guys, thanks for everything. Thanks for stopping in. We appreciate you coming here and spending time with us. And trust me, we will try and get you as much content as we can. I promise. Working hard at it. And we'll go from there. Thanks again, guys. As always, Rockford Ordnance out.